Hey guys, this week I want to show you guys one of the sort of best budget or bang for your buck mechanical keyboards that I've come across and have been personally using. So to give a bit of context, this is my first mechanical keyboard. After doing a bunch of research and sort of looking at the price to sort of, just the overall build and things like that I'll get into more in a bit, I think this is probably one of the best sort of bang for your buck and really quality mechanical keyboards that can really, help you type hours on end without any fatigue. So that is what I'm talking about today, which is the HyperX Alloy. So without further ado, let's get talking. So as you guys can see, it comes in a pretty compact box right here. And the main thing I would say to stress is just check for the sort of key that it is just right away. So if you did order the reds, then check that it is in fact linear and it has a red thing. Or if you did order aquas like me, it is that teal sort of color. So let's go ahead and open this up. So as you guys can see, the packaging itself is also pretty minimal, I'd say, in terms of just there's this keyboard, and if you look underneath, okay, so there is this packaging for the quick start guide, and also I think this is the warranty or something. We also have this cable tucked underneath, and the last thing I'd like you guys to know is that there's this link, which is hyperxgaming.com/ingenuity, which is where you go ahead and sort of download their software. So let's get on with the keyboard itself. So as I'm holding this right now, I can tell that it is pretty hefty. It feels, it doesn't feel very cheap. It does feel pretty, hefty and sort of quality. So we go ahead and take it out of the plastic, and I lay it down for you guys. So that is the keyboard. It is in the fully sort of standard, I think it's called ANSI layout, and it is quite compact, as you guys can see. And the main thing I want to show you guys is that it is USB-C. You guys can see from this sort of enclosure right here, and the cable that we have attached to it, it is a USB-C keyboard, which is really nice because you can use other cables. And actually one of the main problems I had is that this cable is actually really rigid, and so some people may like it. It is braided and it's pretty high quality too. It does have the HyperX logo here, but I actually ended up using a more flexible sort of phone charger. As you guys can see, I ended up using this sort of cable that's way more flexible, just because I think it's a bit easier to manage. But moving on with it, let's go ahead and get this connected to the computer. But actually before we do that, I want to show you guys the three different sort of heights that you can configure this at. So there's three different heights. So there's this first one, which is just flat, and it's already angled by the nature of the keyboard. Just like by the design, it is a bit angled, you can see right here. But we can also add additional by doing this. So this is the maximum amount of tilt you can get from this keyboard. But if you want to do something in between, all you need to do is put this back down, and there's a smaller one right here, and you just flip open the smaller one, and that's the one. So I personally just use it completely, just standard mode, because it already has a bit of that ergonomic tilt, so I don't really need to move it around. And the quality of this keyboard is really nice. There's no flex at all. Really, like, I'm trying to flex it around, but there's no flex. So with that being said, let's get this connected to the computer and see sort of how it feels from there. Alright, so as you guys can see, I already have it hooked up to my laptop now, using the cable, which as you guys can see is on the right hand side. And I just want to take this moment to talk about the RGB profiles. So if you guys can see, there are actually these three buttons for three different RGB profiles that are saved right onto the keyboard. So I'm on the first one. So how you change between them is you hit the function and then you hit F2. So this is the second one, and I have this saved as like a pure white one. And then I have the third one, which is a bit of a teal one, which kind of matches the color of the actual switches, which are also teal. So I just really like this color. But I think the first one is actually just the one that comes preloaded with the keyboard, and I haven't really changed it because if I'm ever feeling RGB, this one seems pretty good. But most of the time I use it on this. And to adjust the brightness, you just have to go up or down. So as you guys can see, these get very bright, and I haven't really used any other RGB keyboards, but from what I've seen from my friends, this one is definitely, it gets really bright compared to others. And most keyboards max out here, but this one goes 2 more levels. So it's definitely quite nice here, but I usually just keep it a bit more minimal. And these two ones are for the caps lock. So if I had a caps lock, it shows up here, and this is the gamer one. So if you can hit the gaming mode, which disables a Windows key. So I have the Windows key disabled, but if you do have that, you can keep going with that. And I usually just have it off, but not right now, because if I need to be doing something productive, I usually want to have the Windows key on. That's only for when I'm gaming. From here, I sort of want to mention that I'm not very sort of familiar with mechanical keyboards, but from my experience, this keyboard has been really nice to type on. So on my previous laptop, which this is actually connected to, if you guys can see the sort of keys, it's like a standard chiclet style sort of key. And the thing that happened for me is actually the force that is actually required to press upon these keys is actually much higher on laptop keyboards, and this actually resulted in my pinky sort of being sort of hurt, because when I would sort of hold shift for a long period of time, or hold shift here or hit enter, it would just really hurt, right? Especially for a long extended period of typing, whereas this is just, I can type on hours on end without really ever feeling hurt, and this is just perfect for me in that sense. And I also appreciate having these sort of volume controls, but I mean, I would have preferred a sort of dedicated volume thing, like, you know, somewhere here, but I can sort of appreciate just how minimal this is, because there's literally nothing else apart from the pure keys. There's no other buttons, and you know, we still have all the media controls and everything right up on the top here, but you have to press function and then there to access those. Alright guys, so let's do a sort of quick typing test to give you guys a feel for the amount of sound that comes from here, because it is definitely higher than sort of a laptop keyboard if you're switching from there. But these tactile switches are definitely not the most loudest, so I just want to give you guys an idea and also just see sort of how I type. Warning, I'm not that good at typing, but without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so all in all, the HyperX Alloy Origins keyboard is a really great and sort of, you know, well built and sort of meant to last sort of keyboard that is a bit on the pricey side, but I think it is a very great value keyboard if you are getting into mechanical keyboards in general and do not want to sort of go like buy a very cheap keyboard that'll probably just break in a couple of years. Whereas I think this one will last you a very long time and does have a plenty of sort of minimalist yet very useful sort of features that I think everyone can appreciate. So with that being said, that's been it for this video. Thank you guys for enjoying. Feel free to like and subscribe if you guys want to stay up to date on more content and get more content like this. But with that being said, peace.